Good evening, Ruskin enjoyers. Everything all right? 'Cause it's time for another Rustor investing review. Last week, of course, we discussed the June 2024 Rustor, and today we're here to discuss the June 27, 2024 Rustor. So sit back, relax. I'm going to start yapping. So what's the focus of the video? Basically, with every brand new Rustor, I'm going to come back to it 4 weeks later. I want to see how everything turned out. But let's just go through the process and what we're about to do, and then you can understand what to expect. So basically, with every Rustor, I'm going to look at the initial thoughts that I had. And with great thanks to my predictions video, I can see how I thought of all the skins in terms of confidence in regards to whether they'll be nice investments or not. Then we'll discuss the progress of the sales with the likes of abnormals, because when I do my abnormal barders, I discuss prices. And I'll also bring up, did I actually make any purchases with the likes of those Rustors? And then we'll discuss the outcomes. Did everything match up to expectations, or did things go a little bit awry, a little bit different? And if so, I have to explain why. So let's jump in. Initial thoughts. When I first saw this Rustor, all right, not too bad. Some strange things did appear. So one thing I didn't mention with the last week's Rustor was that we didn't have a neon small box, did we? We had a break. Now, when I saw this wooden base box being accepted, continuation of the base box collection, I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we just having a week off and we'll see neon small boxes again. And lo and behold, Seeds box was accepted. But the funny thing was, Duck the Skin Creator, up to that point, he had also already made a cards box, he had the Seeds box, and he had a berries box on the workshop. We didn't know what was going to get picked, but lo and behold, it was Seeds. But it was at this point in time where I was looking at all the small neon storage boxes, and I was thinking, are we potentially building up to a bit of a big problem? Because at that point in time, 4 weeks ago, this were all in a negative. Oh, actually, no, not this. These three, sorry. I'm sleep deprived. I'm taking part in the Global Warfare 2 event, so sorry if I'm a bit sluggish. But all three of these small boxes here, they were not performing very well. And would that have potentially affected the likes of this Seeds box? Well, I'll discuss that a little bit more in a bit. When I saw the likes of the Junkernaught Garage Door, very interesting continuation. We had already had the likes of the Sheepman Door, which had transparency and glow in the dark. I remember quite literally asking, Mr. Fuff, make a garage door, it'd be pretty cool. Guess what he did? And he got it accepted. Awesome. Now, I had some wonderful things to compare to the likes of this. But I'll talk more about that because I was reasonably confident with it and I had a pretty good idea where it was likely going to end up. We had the likes of the Chalk Menace box, potential brand new deplorable collection, a large box skin that didn't glow in the dark. It's fine. We also had the likes of another jacket skin, and there was also another black one. More specifically, my issues with that was the fact that up to this point, we had about like 6 black jacket skins being accepted. At that point, I was like, surely we're not going to see another one being accepted, right? Anyway, so because we had so many up to this point, I was generally worried that this might potentially be a bit of a problem. It was also selling at $3 a piece. Well, we'll discuss that a little bit more. Then we had the likes of the Cargo Heli Barricade. Another Barricade skin? What? Well, do you know what? First ever glow-in-the-dark one. Could that have been at least different? We'll discuss that in a bit. Glow-in-the-dark tools again? Well, it's the return of the From Hell collection. But I did remember before with the likes of the standard tools and how they ended up going down by about half in price. I was like, I don't know what to think about these. Oh dear. Apocalyptic Road Sign Gloves, one of the skins that came out during this week, which had been in the workshop for years, yes. Apocalyptic Road Sign Gloves, Cargo Heli Barricade, and of course the Dragon Rage Jacket. Those skins had been in the workshop for years. It was another weird Rustor where we got some random extra late picks. But to see that, the final piece of the puzzle that Apocalyptic was missing, that was interesting. And I had to question, how much would that even sell? So, again, I'll talk more about that in a bit. Royal Safari AK-47, another $3.49 AK-47. I didn't have a lot of faith in that when I first saw it. But, I did expect the inevitable, and we'll talk more about that. What's the inevitable? You'll see. And then, very weirdly, Kitchen Warfare Bandana. Nothing wrong with the acceptance, but this came out with a poncho, but they only accepted the bandana, which was very, very strange to me. So you can see the intended poncho that was supposed to come out with it. Pots and pans, lids, all strung up with string and knives and forks and whatnot. Maybe Face Punch wasn't exactly happy with the design of it. There was an improved version that was supplied, put on the workshop. But hey, they only accepted a bandana. And with that all by itself, would that be okay? Well, again, we'll discuss this a little bit more. So now let's hop over to the likes of discussing the predictions. So as I looked at all of those skins, a bit of a strange variety, but what was I feeling most confident in? The very first skin that I talked about was the Junkernaught Garage Door. So with the likes of this Garage Door, I made an instant comparison to the likes of the Brutalist Garage Door and the Bombshell Garage Door, because they also just so happen to have transparency and glow in the dark. So where have I gone? There you go. We discussed the likes of the Brutalist Garage Door, and we looked at its sales history, because with its initial sales period, or time on the Steam market, I'll say, it dipped down in price pretty hard. Whoosh. And when we looked at the likes of the Bombshell Garage Door as well, similar behaviour at a certain point. Basically, every time we saw dips in player count, and of course, dips where the Steam market suffers, we saw this happening. And I couldn't help but expect that exact same thing to happen to likes of Junkernaught with the impending autumn fall seasonal dip. For when this Rustor came out, it was of course during the middle of the summer. Whilst, plenty of people were playing at this point, unfortunately, I could foresee that things were going to go a little bit awry eventually. So I was looking at it and thinking, you know what, guys, based on what I've seen with the likes of the Brutalist and the Bombshell Garage Door, I'm probably going to do between the likes of $2 to $3. That was my initial reaction with the predictions. I just knew that I was much better off doing a buy order, because I could just not help but assume that was going to go down in price quite a fair bit around October time. Was I correct? We'll discuss that in a bit. So, moving on, we had a bit of an interest in likes of the Neon Small Seed Storage. Basically, I was looking at it, and I didn't think it was really selling that much. I don't really like to judge skins during the first few hours of when they become, available in the Rust store. Usually I like to wait with the likes of the first 24 hours of sales and the 48 hours of sales, because I can then do some better comparisons and whatnot. But Seeds really wasn't looking to be that invested in. As I said, up to this point, the 3 previous small boxes that are accepted in the Neon collection were in the negative. And I was making videos at this point. So if I go back into the past a fair bit, scroll, I do believe I made another video discussing the likes of small storages, Neon small boxes, progress and problems. And let me tell you, there were problems. Oh yes, indeed. So what I'll do is I'll link this in the top right corner of this video. You can go give that a watch, because everything I discuss in here basically still applies. What are we going to expect with the likes of how this is going to turn out? Well, of course, as I said many times in the past, I am not going to be surprised if all the small boxes will eventually go down to around $1 once we reach around October time later this year. But with that, maybe it's going to be different, because I didn't expect it to sell as much. Maybe the behaviour will be a little bit more interesting. So the likes of that, we'll discuss a little bit more when we talk about the abnormal stuff. So let's just put that aside for now. With the likes of, sorry, I'm over here, the next skin I was interested in, Apocalyptic Road Sign Gloves, that was interesting. Because when I looked at these gloves, I thought, at that current point, when I was looking at the Rust store, this wasn't one of the best-selling skins. And as I looked at the Apocalyptic collection, with the arrival of the gloves, yes, we did see a bit of a spike in price. But the first thing I made a little note of was how many of these sold in each group. So, Tier 3... around 9,000 subscribers. Tier 2 on average, around 15,000 subscribers. The Hoodie and the Pants, around 14,000 subscribers. I thought maybe the road sign gloves potentially wouldn't sell that much. Pair up quite nicely with the Tier 3, and potentially, eventually, graciously, slowly, become one of the most valuable pieces of the Apocalyptic collection. Because this has done fairly okay ever since it rolled out. You've got to understand, this collection came out in like 2019. It's been around for years, and yet it was still being purchased quite frequently. It was still being in use. It had demand. And if it ended up more like the Tier 3, the lowest selling core piece, which also just so happened to be the most expensive, who would have guessed, maybe this will work out nicely. It'll be steady, it'll be stable, and it might be a perfectly fine thing to consider investing into. I was 50-50 on it still, but I still wouldn't have been surprised back then if it was going to dip in price a fair bit. So we'll talk more about that. And then as I hop over to hear the predictions, that was the threshold. All the skins that I talked about afterwards, I wasn't as confident in. So the likes of the Dragon Rage jacket, $3 a piece. That's a high point. That might be a struggle for it to retain. And there was also the question of, were we going to see any more jacket skins potentially being accepted for the rest of this year? Because up to this point, in June, it was quite weird how we suddenly had, how many in total? Yes, 7 jacket skins accepted in 2024. Ridiculous. But would there have been more? Ew. So I was thinking, you know what? I'm definitely going to just stick with a buy order. That was my predictions and likes of that. As I move on to likes of talking about the deplorables. So, with the likes of the Chalk Menace box, I was looking at it. It doesn't glow in the dark, but I couldn't help but assume the skin creator very likely was going to try and at least get a continuation out. So I was fairly reasonably optimistic, but again, still leaning more towards, I think I'm just going to stick with a buy order. Wouldn't be surprised if it went down in price. And I looked at the likes of the barricade, the cargo heli barricade. Yes, it glowed in the dark. First barricade to glow in the dark, but I just remembered, all those barricades that came out last year, well, 2 of them, they were down pretty bad. They've basically stayed the same price, 50 cents to 60 cents. I couldn't help but assume it was doomed to end up like these 2. Yeah, it glows in the dark, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. My very, very important question was, what do you even use barricades for? And my chat, my YouTube, they couldn't really respond. They didn't have an answer. Then we had to discuss the likes of the stone tools. I was thinking, you know what, maybe it won't sell as much as the original tools. Maybe it might be a bit different, but I was by default still not convinced. Glow-in-the-dark tools, weapons, you name it. People don't like it. People don't like buying them. I was not confident in them. So I was just going to stick with doing a buy order. And then as we reached with the likes of the Royal Safari AK-47, I just made a great point sitting here saying that up to this point, in June 2024, we had a reasonable amount of $3.49 AK-47s that had come out, and so many of them suffered. I would talk about the likes of the El Diablo AK-47, $3.49, now it's $1. I would talk about the likes of Mythical Dragon, $3.49, $1.39. And conveniently, at that point, just a short while before, we had the Cell AR, $3.49, around $1 back then as well. I was not confident in the Royal Safari AK-47. So with that, I felt fairly justified that I was just going to stick with doing a buy order, and I was definitely going to play it safe. And then with the Kitchen Warfare bandana, I really didn't know what to think. I was conflicted because, yeah, all right, it was just a bandana all by itself, but I know the skin creators were definitely trying to get a full set of a very silly Kitchen Warfare primitive collection. I knew that they're going to keep producing more skins, but why didn't we get the poncho? Best answer I could give was I just didn't think Face Punch was pleased with the design of the poncho. Maybe it just wasn't to the level of quality that they wanted. So looking at that, by default, having seen previously the Conada hat being accepted, and with the arrival of that, it did spike in demand and went up into the positive, I thought, surely, maybe, possibly, we'll see more of this collection. But I just wasn't that confident in just the bandana. Bandanas haven't exactly been performing very great this year, and even at that point, I was thinking the same, so didn't really know what to do, but definitely leaning towards just sticking with doing a buy order. So, overall, not exactly super confident, but that's been the common trend over the course of this entire series so far. So, let's talk about the likes of the abnormal buy orders. So I have the prices over here. With the prices, I looked at the likes of the Neon Small Seed Storage, so let's just quickly hop over to here and get a quick little glimpse, make it nice and HD, because you can, you can see for yourself that they did all sell quite nicely. They did all sell quite reasonably. Yes, my head is covering the head of the previous Hedge, but yeah, only 25,000 subscribers for a Neon Small Seed Storage? What? All the other ones did around 40,000. That's weird, that's silly, but it happened. Junkernaught Comparisons only did 20,000 subscribers. The large box did 15,000. The jacket, only 13,500. Okay, this is pretty interesting. Everything here didn't really sell that much. Did it influence the prices? Well, here we go. With the likes of the Neon Small Seed Storage, I sat here and said, guys, look, I know it's not selling that much, but I just can't help but assume the inevitable is going to happen. It's still very likely going to go down in price around October time. I suggested 90 cents to $1.10. Yep. With the likes of the Junkernaught Garage Door, I felt reasonably confident in the future that yes, the Junkernaught Garage Store will be going down in price. I thought around October time, that is where it would dip down to maybe between $2.50 to $3. I repeat, I thought around October time it dipped around to that price. The inevitable was that it was going to follow the same behaviour that the likes of the Brutalist and the Bombshell Garage Store did in the past. Let's see how that turned out. So with the likes of that, I said $2.40 to $3 for my price suggestion. With the likes of the Dragon Rage jacket, $3 price, didn't sell too much, but I couldn't help but assume with so many jackets up to that point and so many more potentially on the way, potentially, maybe, I was like, you know what, I just don't really want to go super strong on it. I want to play it safe. $1 to $1.50. That's what I suggested. With the likes of the Cargo Heli Barricade, I just didn't really trust it. I didn't have a lot of faith in it. 40 cents to 50 cents. Sorry. Then with the likes of the Stone Tools from Hell, I looked at it. Both of them selling for $2.49. Up to that point, they did about 9,500 subscribers, half the amount of sales that the original Hatchet and Pickaxe did. I was like, well, that's very interesting, but I'm still not 100% convinced. But I suggested doing a decent price. Normally with tools or weapon skins that I'm not confident in, I'll just sit there and say 60 cents to 80 cents. Because at the very least, if I bought them at those prices, I could just convert them to metal and sell the metal and make a little bit of profit. But I looked at both of them and I thought, all right, maybe I'm a little bit more confident. I suggested 80 cents to $1.10. Yeah, it's still low, but better. And then with the likes of the Royal Safari AK-47, 60 cents to 80 cents. Because even though that sold hardly anything, wasn't exactly super confident with it. Couldn't help but assume it was going to go down pretty hard, even though it sold for $3.49. Then we had the likes of the Kitchen Warfare bandana. I wasn't 100% sure if it was going to turn out all right. It only did around 6,000 subscribers. That was a 60 cent to 80 cent buy order. I wasn't fully sure. If I'm not confident in things, I offer a low price. Better to play it safe. And then with the likes of the remaining skins that weren't abnormal, Chalk Menace, Large Wood Box, I was hopeful to see continuations, and if I can recall, I did see one over the course of the weekend. I still suggested only 80 cents to $1.10. Cool looking design, but didn't glow in the dark, and I knew on the horizon there were going to be Twitch drops. A large box was on the way. So with that, I thought, yeah, better to play it safe. And then with the Apocalyptic Road Sign gloves, they did not sell ridiculously. They were matching perfectly with the likes of the Tier 3 armor, like I said. I looked at it and thought, you know what? 75 cents to 85 cents, and I even considered questioning if I wanted to buy some. So that looked cool, that looked nice, but what was the outcome? So here we go. I'm looking at the Rush Store now. It's been 4 weeks since this Rush Store came out, and here's my words. With the likes of the Neon Small Seed Storage, okay, that actually turned out quite all right. So for like the first week or two, this was actually selling above $2. Now, with the likes of the Neon Small Boxes, it's been strange, it's been weird, but I do feel very confident that they're all inevitably going to go down in price quite badly around October. Even Fuel Storage was dipping down quite a fair bit. It's barely holding on. And you might remember, just about 2 months ago, that was doing ever so nicely, always being the skin that was always higher in price. But with this one selling a lot less, if I were to just quickly go to the Steam market, type in Neon Small Box Storage, I think. Let's just make sure that's going to be correct. There we go. You can see the difference in quantities. Small fuel, $4.99. Small comps, $3.21. Small food, $4.13. Small med storage, $4.80. But small seeds, $66. Yeah, even though it did 25,000 plus subscribers, it still has hardly anything on the Steam market. That worked out ever so nicely, but inevitably, don't be surprised if more of them appear as time goes on. So, yes, regardless, in the further future, do still feel very strong for it. I think it'll be perfectly fine. There was the question of, well, maybe it sold hardly anything because people just don't really need seeds that much. There's a bit of a debate. But honestly, I think it was just investor fatigue. People got, burnt out with the likes of all the other small boxes because they just assumed everything was going to be an instant flip profit. No, I was putting out all the warning signs, but people were still doing it. So when another one appeared, people just probably shrugged and thought, meh, I probably won't buy as much, or just buy one for myself. And inevitably, yeah, Lowest selling neon small box up to this point so far. Are there still plenty more potentially on the horizon? Well, I did say this. Up around that point, there were some other skins that were produced, but they have yet to be accepted because certain other things happen to have appeared and taken up all the attention. So that'll be something we'll discuss next week. But with the likes of that, that turned out nicely. I will sit here and say I wouldn't have expected for it to have worked out this nicely. It's done good. So I'll sit here and say I'll lean with more to the likes of I was more wrong with that. However, I cared more about the long term, few months' time. If it ends up around $1, hey, I'll be correct then. With the likes of the Junkernaught garage door, I was not wrong in regards to the price, sort of, but it happened a lot faster. This happened like after a week or two. What am I saying? Basically, I thought we weren't going to dip down to around $3 until around when we got close to October. Nope, about a week or two. Bang. Oh dear. So this was the one thing that kind of opened my eyes, and I thought, wow. Even though it's June, July at that point, all these skins are just selling too much, and they're just going down very quick. It's like, whoa, chill out. So basically, this made me think, okay, we've got to play it even safer now with all our abnormal buy orders. So that's definitely going to be something that we follow with the likes of the following Rust Store investing reviews. I probably will be sticking with lower prices for all the skins. But that, quite alarming. But, is this probably its lowest point? I hope. There's 91 listings on the Steam market. On average, with the likes of all the Rust skins on the Steam market, they usually have around 100 quantity. This is fine. This is stable now. If you can look at the buy orders, it's holding it up strong. I don't think this will be going down in price that much more. I think potentially this is the lowest price. It's very thin with the quantities. No big fat resistance. It could easily rise back up again in the future. And as I said, wouldn't be surprised if with the likes of post-Christmas, that being January 2025, or the summer of 2025, that probably will be up in the positive and a fair bit more, much like how Bombshell and Bruceless Garage Door performed. So, just keep your eye on it. Maybe look at it again in October time. Maybe buy a few around then. Wait and see what happens in the further future. Because, yeah, I do believe it will still be nice and profitable. But I was not expecting it to happen so quickly. That's the main thing. So I'll sit here and say I was wrong in regards to when it would happen or when it would drop down in price. But I feel like the price range is still good. Even though I bought a whole bunch of them at $3, I'm not upset. I'm fine with that. I can live with that. So, cool. I believe that's going to be around where it's going to be its lowest point. Hopefully. Let's just see if we get any more garage doors with transparency and glow in the dark. Not yet so far. Moving on, with the likes of the Chalk Menace box, I mean, this was inevitable. It was expected. Price matched up perfectly with the suggestion, but were there continuations? Yes, indeed. We had the likes of a wooden door being accepted, but we also had the likes of a sheet metal door being produced and a garage door. Will they be accepted? Who knows? We've got to keep an eye out for the future Rust doors, but the skin creator was making attempts for it to continue, but with the likes of this being accepted, this didn't really budge that much. But the position that it's currently in, hey, that's fine. For a skin that doesn't glow in the dark, I can't really complain. I wasn't sure if that was going to be that much of a difference, but here we are. Only 49 listings. Barter's only going up to $1, and it could potentially still go lower based on the weak barter amount, barter quantities here. We'll see, but yeah, we expected that, and it happened, so. Dragon Rage Jacket. This was the final clothing and armor piece for the Dragon Rage collection, which had done very nicely over the past few years. A very random acceptance that was, this was on the Rust workshop for 2 years, finally gets accepted. With its arrival, with its acceptance, we did see the likes of the hoodie and pants go up a fair bit in price. That was nice to see. However, in regards to did everything turn out all right? Well, as of now, it's doing okay. You know what? I definitely panicked a little bit too much. I was too much of I was too, what's the word to say? Too doom and gloom, we'll go with that. I didn't really expect much, but it's actually been very nice and stable. The barter's still only going up to $2, but still not too bad. But there was another jacket accepted, and you of course probably saw that. So the following week, it was the July Force Wipe. It was the update with the introduction of the bikes, and there was a very cool jacket That's accepted. The Hell Riders jacket. So once I saw that, I was like, oh, here we go. But hey, it's still doing okay. Could it still go below its restore price a little bit further? Yes. It could still go down to around $2. But if it ends up at around $2 in October, that's not too bad. If you stuck with your $1 and $1.50 buy order, hey, wait and see. But yeah, I can give some props to that. I can't really sit here and say I was wrong with the buy orders where they're at, but it's not exactly doing terribly either, so 50-50. But with that one, hey, it's good to see at the very least. So let's just hope we don't see any more jacket skins being accepted this year. Oh dear. Cargo Heli Barricade, I didn't expect much from you, and lo and behold, you're not exactly doing that much either. But the funny thing is, just a short while later, we got another glow-in-the-dark barricade being accepted. So that was strange, that was weird, and Steam's being weird right now. It's not showing me the prices, but you could probably accept that with what we see here, with it only sitting at $1, with 33 supply on the Steam market. Doesn't look like it's doing a good job of retaining its value. Let me just quickly whip this open. I believe we have an issue with me potentially opening far too many links. So if we just turn on the VPN, there we go. And here we are. So yeah. It's only got 33 listings, but the buy orders are nowhere near. This is a true sign of a lack of interest, a lack of demand. And inevitably, I do expect it to slowly go down in price more and more and more. And, well, yeah, eventually it'll end up at around 50 to 60 cents. Sorry to say, but yeah. And as I said, just a short while later, we did see another glow-in-the-dark barricade being accepted. That was quite recent from this point, but, yeah... Still in the positive, that one. That's quite a surprise. Well, we'll see in another 2 weeks' time and see if it's still holding up. Anyway, cool. So you eventually will be going down to the price I thought. Moving on. Stone Tools. Right. These are done well. These are done better than what I was expecting. So I will definitely have to sit here and say I was wrong. For now. So right now, both of these have hardly any listings. They only did around 10,000 subscribers, which is relatively low, especially with the rustors that we've seen somewhat recently. And yeah... Still holding up. Buy orders still reasonably okay. Not the most big fat quantities of buy orders, but it's certainly not moving that much. So I guess I'll have to sit here and say I was a little bit too cautious. But give it more time. Once we reach around October, do you reckon it still will go down to around half its price? We'll see. But personally, I think I was wrong with this one. Too cautious. Now, as I've said many times, I'd rather be safe than sorry. And hey, as I said... Give it more time, maybe it still drops down a fair bit, but maybe not as low as what I thought. So yeah, if you managed to buy some of these, and you ended up making a bit of a profit, feel free to tell me, comment below and whatnot. But yeah, that worked out quite nicely. And if you've got some for yourselves, well, I can only hope you enjoy them. Right then, so that, Stone Tools, you worked out quite nicely. Let's move on to the likes of the Apocalyptic Road Sign Gloves. And you know what? This has basically matched up to my expectation. Sold as much as the Tier 3, not too much quantity on the Steam market. And yeah, it's fairly close to its restore price of 99 cents. Yes, it did dip below its restore price by a little bit, but there's still hardly any quantity, the buy orders still remain, and the price has been ever so nice and stable, hasn't changed too much. Will it dramatically drop ever? Highly doubt it. Will it still potentially go down in price a fair bit once we reach the likes of October time? Probably. How much lower could it really go? Not much, I think. Maybe it'll stick to around 80 odd cents. But as time goes on, with the likes of the Apocalyptic Collection still being relatively in demand and whatnot, can't help but assume it would just nice and graciously rise up in price. Not instantly, not quickly, but gradually, calmly, stable. You get the idea. So yeah, that's cool. That's matched up to expectations. Very nice to see. Raw Safari AK-47, it went down. Yep, that went down. Yeah, unfortunate. Didn't go all the way down to a ridiculously low price like some of the other $3.49 AK-47s, but we did see continuations, and fairly recently we saw armor for this collection. So as of now, there's hardly any listings, but there's not that much strong buy orders at all. People didn't have a lot of faith. It's unfortunate, but expectations have been matched. Whilst we went for a fairly standard low price, it's doing better than that, so we're not fully correct, I'd sit here and say, but give it a little bit more time, and we'll probably watch the suffering continue. Sorry to say, but yeah, it's AK-47s. There's far too many skins to compare to. There's far too many competing options, and unfortunately, the vast majority suffer because of it. So, moving on, Kitchen Warfare Bandana. Didn't really know how to go about this. Ended up sticking with some safe buy orders. Sold for $2.49. It's currently sitting here at $1.62. It only has 18 listings, but there's still a sense of hope. What do you mean? Well, look at the workshop. Look at what Rosato and Domch have been working on over the past month. You will see that we have the likes of improved... is that a spatula sword? Well, there you go. They're committed. Anyway, we had an improved poncho being produced. We also had the likes of hide clothing, leather gloves, spatula sword, apparently. You just found out about a brand new skin. But yeah, get a go look at that. They improved it. They added like a kitchen towel, flannel, whatever you call it. And yeah, so maybe that gets accepted in the further future. Maybe complete the sets later this year. Most Wanted, probably. Do you want to be a kitchen warrior? Do you want to prepare your attack spoon? So yeah, plenty more skins were produced. We just have to wait and see if anything's actually going to get accepted. Oh god, everyone's going to be running around like SpongeBob. Oh dear, oh dear. So it still went down in price. But if we do see a continuation, will it spike up? We shall see. Only 18 on the Steam market. That's nothing. But it didn't really sell that much either, did it? So yeah, overall, the majority of skins are in the negative. Not by much for some of them, but hey, that was the overall expectation, wasn't it? So, as time goes on, will it get worse? I mean, that is the next expectation, isn't it? So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But seeing how this Junkernaught garage door behaved, yeah, this definitely influenced my thought process with all the following Rust doors. And I was just very, very worried about what else was going to end up like this. So that perfectly fine looking Rust door. Didn't sell insanely, but maybe next week might be a bit different. Yeah, July 4th swipe. We're expecting a ton of people to be jumping in with so much brand new content being added. That's for the topic for next week. And yeah, I'll sit here and say big difference in terms of sales that week. Oh yes. So thank you very much for watching me. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you later. And if you're wanting to, feel free to go and see me on Global Warfare 2. I don't think we're going to see much on Monday, but we'll see. So thumbs up. Thank you. Catch you later and goodbye.